Chinese companies, Asian DLCs, tons of updates, tons of news. This video is dedicated to the memory of extraordinary singer Asha Boshle. If you've ever listened to a song in a Bollywood movie, chances are it was her singing. Greetings from me, you're watching WromWrom, the channel sharing the joy of sim racing and a regular news roundup, a weekly sim racing news. My name is Serta and I will be your host for this video. So Asetek is going private after being bought by a Chinese holding. We'll tell you our opinion in the corresponding segment, and you can let us know what your opinion is, because we're not sure. I'm sure nobody is. What I'm sure about is that our news are rolling in now. iRacing's patch 2 for the second season of 2026 is a solid update focused on fixing glitches and tweaking the physics. The launcher got a small update and the Fnatic sponsor logos have been refreshed to look current. The NPC drivers were failing to post qualifying times if you move through the event too fast. With their usual humor, the devs claim they now operate at simulated lightning speed. They also fixed a bug where NPC race results were underestimated if you quit mid-race. The error got worse the longer you waited, so this fix makes the results accurate again. Plus, NPC drivers are now better at handling tire and temperature changes on the opening lap, and they are sharper at the Milwaukee Mile. The balance of performance settings got a major upgrade. You can now adjust engine power between 90 and 110%, whereas before you could only reduce it. This applies to official series, hosted sessions, and even test sessions in the garage. Weight adjustments can now go both ways. You can add up to 250 kilo or remove up to 50 kilo. While official series and hosted sessions can pick this immediately, the option to select specific weight adjustments during session creation is not there yet, but should be coming shortly. The user interface is getting a solid upgrade for telemetry fans. The throttle and brake widget now supports up to 30 seconds of playback and adds horizontal lines to make reading values easier. They also fixed a crash that happened when trying to set an HUD profile as the global default if the file key was missing. Graphics have seen some specific fixes. What the devs once again tongue-in-cheek call vampiric rain because it did not appear in the mirrors, now does, and low-res particle smoke effects are Z-sorting properly so they look right. On the car side, NASCAR cars have better windshield reflections, and street stocks and dirt street stocks have tougher roofs, likely because they were getting demolished too easily. TCR cars no longer having correct power scaling at the Nürburgring. The Audi 90 GTO and Nissan GTP ZXT can no longer earn a meatball flag just for bodywork damage. You actually need to cause more significant issues. The Audi 90 GTO and BMW M4 G82 GT4 have stiffer hoods and rear hulls. The Honda Civic Type R TCR finally has female drivers rotating their hands correctly with the paddle shifters. Other car fixes include corrected switch labels on the NASCAR Ford F150, increased nose durability on super late models, and tail lights on the supercar Ford Mustang Gen 3 that actually show in the rain, not just at night. There's also track updates. The garage on pit road at Mount Panorama will no longer disappear at certain settings. Nürburgring has had some strange purple hues removed from the surface. Sebring's draw distance is better so flags and bridges won't pop into view suddenly, and textures are updated. And finally, St. Petersburg has updated ads and fixed some specular texture maps on objects. SCS Software has just dropped the 1.59 open beta for both American Truck Simulator and Euro Truck Simulator 2. Since they share the same codebase, you will see a lot of overlap, but as always, each game has some unique flavor to offer. Let's start with the shared features. The community has been asking for better info on wallet and truck. The new advisor update brings finances and damage widgets right to the bottom of your screen. You can see your bank balance, your 7-day profit average, and exactly how much damage your truck, trailer, or cargo has taken. And you can toggle these on or off in the settings. If you ever flip your truck over or get stuck in a ditch, as we said last week, see the link up there, the new tow to road feature is a lifesaver. Instead of waiting for a service truck to drag you to the nearest shop, you can just press F7, pay a small fee, and instantly pop back onto the nearest safe road. This keeps multiplayer convoys moving and saves you from getting stranded. The skill screen has also gotten a visual refresh. It still does the same thing, but now it's much clearer. You can see your current rank, the next step in the progression, and how many steps are left. Tooltips let you peek at other ranks, and the whole thing is easier to navigate with a controller, because SCS are still working on getting the games onto consoles, and good for them. General housekeeping has improved too. The in-game news banner is easier to read with better tooltips, and the world map now has an undo last pin button. Save files look cleaner with a standard icon, and you can skip garage cutscenes more reliably. On the audio side, traffic sounds have been reworked. The distant engine roars are softer, and the focus is now on the subtle road hiss of tires. Honking has been randomized a bit so it doesn't sound like a broken record. There are also some visual tweaks. The height blend feature now supports derived normal maps to save GPU memory, and various graphical issues have been fixed. However, there is some bad news. The detour feature has been temporarily disabled in both games. The developers admit the system wasn't working as intended and are taking it offline to rebuild it. Don't worry, random road events are still active. Now for the game-specific content. Euro Truck Simulator 2 is getting the big show. The Benelux rework is here. Belgium, the Netherlands and Luxembourg have been completely rebuilt from scratch. You can drive through redesigned versions of Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Brussels and more. The map now includes new locations like the massive container port in Antwerp and the detailed DAF trucks facility in Eindhoven. You will also see the varied landscapes of the Belgian Ardennes and the flat Dutch polders. Moving geographically further, they also added the Volvo Trucks Experience Center in Gothenburg, Sweden. This is a full-scale replica of the real-world driving circuit with technical corners and elevation changes. You can test your truck's handling there, but remember, you need the Scandinavia DLC to visit. Finally, the refrigeration units on your trailers have been updated. As we said last week, the generic units are gone, replaced by branded Thermo King models. You will see the A360, A400 and others on single trailers, and the UT1400R on double trailer rigs. Keeping with ETS, SCS have announced the first DLC that leaves the continent and moves to Asia with their Soul of Anatolia update, which will bring you to Turkey. No date or price set yet, but we all know they don't announce these until they are far enough in development. Telling you the release number is going to take longer than the content of the update. RaceRoom's version 1312 update 3 patch 1 hotfix 2 has implemented some technical magic to make connections more stable, allowing you to connect to servers easier. Breakfast 2's newest patch is almost as small. They added a chat filter, fixed issues with server connectivity, and now forbid external tool use. To the surprise of nobody, Asetek's board members accepted the offer from Chinese company CQXA Holdings. At the same time, they published a video on their channel which says not much at all on the surface, but a lot between the lines. First of all, the thing the Chinese holding are most interested in is Asetek's water cooling technology, especially for data centers. Second, the board members remain on their positions, but that means nothing at all, as we've seen in the past that after 1 to 3 years, founders and board members leave a company after an acquisition, moving to a consultant position. And you should imagine the air quotes here, as their consulting is normally minimal, but they still get a stipend. And third and most important for us is that Asetek Sim Racing keeps existing. for now. But we at WromWrom get the feeling it's an afterthought that will be treated as such and may disappear in the future or get sold to a third party. We'd be very glad to be wrong, but the lack of new products and innovation by Asetek speaks volumes. While most other hardware companies are releasing new products, Asetek released a video. What do you think about that? Let us know in the comments or on our Discord. Another important information is that the company will be delisted from stock exchanges, which means they don't have to release any quarterly numbers. And while we understand the relief of CEO Andre Eriksson, because gathering and producing these numbers every 3 months is a pain for any company, it's also a good way to communicate to the press and their fans. This window will now close. Assetto Corsa EVO just dropped another major update, placing the sim at version 0.6, or more precisely 0.61, and it's a big step forward. The developers are clearly focusing on what is actually happening behind the wheel rather than just adding shiny new cars. Nevertheless, you'll get 6 new vehicles ranging from modern GT racers to classic road icons. The lineup includes the Audi R8 LMS GT4 EVO, the Ferrari 296 GT3, the legendary Ferrari GTO, the Ford Mustang GT3, the iconic Lamborghini Countach, and the Porsche 911 GT3R. Alongside these machines, Sebring International Raceway has arrived. This track is famous for its bumpy surface and technical flow, which makes it a perfect test for the new cars. The update also brings some serious technical improvements. Suspension modeling is much more detailed now, with better handling for multi-link and strut systems. Multiplayer collisions feel more stable thanks to updated netcode, and the audio has been refined to sound more spatial. A key addition for pros is official Motec telemetry support. Usability has also seen a makeover. The car selection flow is redesigned and the controls menu is now organized by input type. The developers claim this marks a meaningful step forward and a robust long-term platform. While that sounds like marketing fluff, the actual changes to physics and NPCs do feel substantial. The biggest news for the community is the ability to host your own servers at last. You can now download a dedicated game server executable via Steam Tools. This adds to the existing daily racing portal and the browser-based server rentals, giving everyone more control over the racing environment. Shortly after the release, a quick hotfix version 0.61 went live. It fixes a crash when joining sessions, restores copy-paste functionality, and tweaks the aero map for the Porsche Cayman GT4 CSMR. Kunos also corrected fuel density and updated dashboards for the VW Golf GTI and Alpha Junior. As always, check the link to the patch notes in the description of the video if you want the full list of minor visual fixes. For more about sim racing, be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video if you want to see more like it.